Hey everyone, I'm LadyErynn and welcome to my world. Today is the day that you've all been waiting for. I am on day 2 of my chemo treatment and I wanted to record it today while I was still feeling pretty good. That way you guys could see what happens on chemo week. And technically it's only 3 days. I got hooked up yesterday and I had yesterday, today, and then half of tomorrow because tomorrow my chemo will run out about noon or whenever it starts beeping that it's low. That could be anywhere from 9 to noon, just depending on how much is left. But I will go get unplugged tomorrow, so it's really only 3 days, but most of Thursday and Friday I will probably sleep because that's what I do when I get unplugged, is I just sleep for about 2 days. So, and they tell me that's normal. This is round 9 of 12, so we have 3 left after this. Just 3 left. And it's gonna be rough because everything is a lot harder now that we're on the home stretch. But I think we can do it. We have to do it. We really don't have another choice, but I think we can do it. Anyway, on to the technicalities. This, let me adjust the camera here a little bit so you can see it better, is where I'm plugged in, right here. And they gave me the big rocket ship applicator. That's what I call it because it's huge and it looks like a rocket ship, to me anyway. That's taped over the gauze. And under the dressing, about right here, is a 3/4 inch needle. That's about that big. I think it's about that big. Needle that's going directly into my port, which in turn is going directly to my heart. So, and the gauze itself is jerry-rigged because I am allergic to every type of adhesive now. The normal plastic dressings that they would normally put on this break me out super bad, and I can't even stand it because it itches and everything. And this itches a little bit, but the normal gauze dressing that they had for me, they were out. So this is literally a piece of waterproof gauze with paper tape all over it to kind of secure it into place. And they sent me home with a roll of paper tape. That way I could reinforce it if I need to, because Scotch tape just doesn't really do it. But this tube that you see here goes from the needle all the way to this stylish fanny pack that I get to carry around with me all day, every day. Well, not every day, but you get the point. Inside the fanny pack, and I will open it up here for you so you can see, is the pump, which I'm not really supposed to mess with, but I want you guys to see it. This is the pump, and it shows on here that it's running, and it shows that I only have about 69 milliliters left of chemo, so that will be the rest of today and probably half of tomorrow. And it does have a handy little alarm that will go off if I'm messing up the tubes in any way. I found that out the hard way, and it was kind of funny because it was the first time I'd ever heard the alarm go off, and it's kind of the siren type thing. And I was watching a cop show at the time, so at first I thought it was on the show. And then it happened again, and I'm looking at it, and I realized that I have it all crunched up in my lap, so the tubes were kind of smushed. And that's when I realized, oh, that's not on the show, that's my chemo alarm. I should probably look into that. But also, this is, I'm not supposed to mess with this really either, but this is my bag of chemo. This is the medicine that I have that's being injected into my blood as we speak. And this is called 5FU. It's a specialized chemo specifically for colon cancer, which is what I had. And let's just say I hope it's working because I don't want to go through this again. Also in here is the roll of paper tape that I mentioned and extra batteries just in case, because you never know when you're going to need batteries. So that's what's in my little fanny pack of joy here. It's not really all that heavy, but it is really inconvenient because I have to take it with me everywhere. Obviously, because I'm literally plugged into it. And going to the bathroom gets complicated because you got to figure out which shoulder to put it on and how to mess with all that. I can't take showers because this gauze or this dressing is not waterproof by any means. So, and I usually don't really feel up to taking showers anyway. Like, my hair's a mess. I haven't messed with it in like 2 days. But I sleep on the recliner instead of my bed because I roll a lot when I sleep, and the recliner restricts that. That way I can't roll into the tube because that could either strangle me or it could pull out the needle, and that's just not a good thing for anybody. Because I actually, the first week that I had chemo, I made the mistake of going outside to help some people that were working on the house, and my dog jumped up on me, got her leg hooked in the tube, and pulled the needle out. And it hurt so bad. It didn't pull it completely out, but just enough to where it was actually pumping under the skin instead of into the port. Which, it was at the very end of the round, thankfully, so there was not a lot of chemo that was pumped into the skin. Because she said that if it had been more, my skin probably would have turned black and kind of, like, it was gross. So, we don't go outside. We don't do any strenuous. Basically, I sit on the couch and watch Netflix or YouTube or mess around with Facebook. It's really all I do on chemo week because there's nothing else I can't do. As I said in Chemo Confessions, it's been one of the hardest things that I've ever done. And I don't ever want to do this again. I can feel it changing me, and I hate that. It changes who I am, because I want more and more to use chemo as an excuse to not do things, or cancer as an excuse to not do things. And it changes me physically, like the inside of my mouth, the texture of my mouth changes. And my taste buds all change, so water makes me nauseous, Sprite makes me nauseous. Milk is okay so far. I had some milk this morning, and so far it's okay. Some teas are okay. I can't have coffee, or I can have coffee, but I'm kind of too afraid to try coffee, just because coffee kind of washes my insides anyway, so I don't want to make it any worse than it is. I can still eat kind of normal foods. If you remember, I had tacos yesterday. I had this huge craving for tacos, and I had tacos. Like, he went and got me 4 of those Dorito Locos and ranch, because ranch is the best, and oh, they were so good. But the spiciness of them, while I was dry heaving all day yesterday, was not a great idea. So today we are sticking with plain foods that will hopefully not agitate anything. And that was actually one of the things I had to do, was to do more clean eating, which is difficult to do nowadays because all of our foods are processed and they have chemicals in them, and they may be cheap, but they're just not healthy. And that's why I think that cancer is so prevalent today. Like, yesterday, we were there for, how long were we there? We were there for about 5 hours, because my first round of treatment has to be delivered at the infusion center, and it takes about 3 hours. And we got there when it was empty. About an hour later, every seat in the center was full of people undergoing chemotherapy. Every seat. And then by the time we left, it was empty again. But there were so many people that are dealing with this right now. And I think a lot of it has to do with what we're putting into our bodies. Because the food, and I don't mean to get preachy here, this is just from my own experience. But everything's processed, everything has chemicals, everything has preservatives. And it's hard to find something that's actually healthy for you. And my husband and I had to make that change because colon cancer specifically, or so I was told, has to do with a lot of our environmental and a lot of what I eat. So I try and limit my pops. I've changed to real butter, real cheese, whole milk. Well, actually, I still do 2% milk. And even that is homogenized, and I'm a little iffy of it, but it's the only milk you can afford nowadays, if you can afford it at all. But whole grain rices, fresh vegetables, fresh fruit. I crave fresh fruit when I'm sick, so we have a lot of fruit. What else? Real sugar, unbleached flour. Our canned food, I make sure that it's nothing but vegetable water and salt, and that's hard to do. And it's just, we try and do healthy, we really do. But if you don't have a large grocery budget, it's difficult. Because we go to the grocery store about twice a week. Not twice a week, that's wrong. Twice a month is what I meant to say. We go to the grocery store about twice a month. And like, you gotta make sure your meats don't have preservatives in them. You gotta make sure your lunch meats are preservative free. You gotta find the good meats. Salmon is one of the recommended meats for me because of the good oils and good proteins. And I have been fortunate enough to find salmon, wild caught salmon, that I can afford. So we have salmon maybe once or twice a week, as opposed to chicken or hamburger. Although we still eat a lot of chicken. But my point is, a lot of the cancers, I think, come from what we are putting into our bodies. And at least for me, with the colon cancer, because that is very, because I got my genetic test back. Actually, I had to go get a genetic test to make sure I didn't have Lynch syndrome, which is a whole other story. And thankfully I don't. But they couldn't find any genetic reason for me to have this. So honestly, like, the only reason I got cancer, as far as we know, is something environmental, which means some sort of thing that I put into my body that became cancer, or kind of spurted on. So that's why I had to go on a more clean eating diet. And my husband doesn't really have to follow it as much, but since I'm the only person that cooks in this house, he kind of has to eat what I give him. So, which he doesn't complain too much, because I try and stay away from the foods that I know he doesn't like, because he's a very picky eater. And me, I was raised on homegrown vegetables and home-raised meats. I lived on a farm for the better part of my childhood, and we did a lot of stuff ourselves. And my brother and I both, like, neither one of us are picky eaters. We'll eat anything just about once. But I appreciate my mom and my dad raising us on homegrown food. And it was a lot of food. Like, we had a garden that was, I think, half an acre. And it had everything you could imagine. Except for cantaloupe. I don't think we got very many cantaloupes out of that one. But it was difficult. Well, we didn't really have to do a lot of the work. But when we did, it was hot and it was muggy because it's hellish down here in the summertime. But it was worth it because most of our meals came from the vegetables that we grew ourselves and that we picked ourselves. And I do miss that. I did not inherit the green thumb that my mother and my grandmother have. I cannot grow anything except maybe an aloe vera plant because those things are hard to kill. And I actually killed mine by overwatering it by accident. But again, that's another story. But I just wanted you guys to see this and to kind of experience what I'm going through. I do have a lot of support, so don't for a second think that I'm alone in this. My husband takes good care of me. My friends and my family take good care of me. My grandma is over here every moment she can get just to make sure I have company and that she can do things for me. And I have a great family, and I have great friends. And I've heard some of them say that they wish they could take this from me, or they wish they could go through this for me. And no, they don't. I wouldn't wish this on anybody. I wouldn't wish this on my enemy, and I sure as hell wouldn't wish this on somebody that I loved. I'm glad that it's me going through this, because I am strong enough to do this, and at least I feel like I'm strong enough to do this. There have been times when I have just cried myself to sleep because this is the worst thing ever. And there are times when I'm just like today, sharing this with you it really gives me a sense of comfort, because first of all, I love to teach, and to me this is teaching, because I'm showing you what happens. And part of it also is to document it, because I haven't been documenting this journey properly, and I feel really bad about that. So this video, it kind of pulls the weight off, and I appreciate you guys watching it. I appreciate your guys' support through this. I know this has been a really weird couple of months. All of my schedules have been out of whack, and all of my review list has kind of been stagnant, and I'm really working on getting things back on track. I really am. But at this rate, we're going to be done about mid-November, because I got pushed back another week, so I'm actually going every 3 weeks instead of every 2 weeks. And so we should be done about mid-November. Hopefully before Thanksgiving still, because I'd really like to be done before Thanksgiving. But it all depends really on how my white cells do, because if my white count's too low, I don't get it, as you saw with last week's chemo confessions. So, because that was supposed to be this vlog, but I digress. That's pretty much it that I have to say right now. Check out the website. I'm still moving stuff over. There's still some good things going on. I've got a new game vlog planned for Friday, and it's going to be a different game. It's going to be, if I can get my laptop to work, it's going to be really fun, I think. I'm hoping to do an author interview next week, so I will be sending out invites to that. Subscribe to the channel for more, and to keep up with what's going on. And follow me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Follow me. And let's get the word out, because I really think that we're going to do good things with LadyErynn.com. I really do. But a lot of that depends on exposure, and word of mouth advertising is the best advertising there is. So please share these videos, share the Facebook page. Well, I don't have a Facebook page for LadyErynn.com, but share the Critter Copywriting Facebook page. Share my Twitter, share my Instagram, share my blog posts. Like, just share with everybody. I don't mind, really. All I ask for is proper credit, because they are my original works. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.